If you want to be successful, really successful, the kind of person who's in control of their time, their money, and their outcomes, then you have to start by owning your calendar, not renting it, not borrowing someone else's version of productivity. Owning it because your calendar is not just a collection of meetings and reminders. It is the physical representation of what you've decided to value in your life. It is the truth, teller of your priorities. And if your calendar is chaotic, random, or filled with tasks that don't move you forward, then you're not leading your life, you're reacting to it. Most people live in reaction. They wake up, scroll their phones, respond to whatever feels urgent, and wonder why the results they want never show up. But here's the truth: your results live in your routine. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. I don't care how much you want to write a book, launch a business, work out every day, or spend more time with your family. If it's not blocked, protected, and prioritized on your calendar, then it's not real. That's the uncomfortable truth hyper-formers accept early and average performers ignore forever. Time is the only resource you don't get back. You can always make more money. You can build more relationships. You can start over in your business, but you will never get back a single minute of wasted time, so you have to treat it like the most valuable asset in your life, because it is. You want to level up your results. Start by treating your calendar like it's sacred, like it's your operating manual, like it's the CEO of your life, because it is. So, what does owning your calendar actually look like in practice? It means every Sunday you're sitting down and planning out your week before it starts. Not hoping to find time making time. You're deciding what your top 3 priorities are for the week, and you're putting them in first, non-negotiable. They get the best of your time, not the leftovers. If you want to get in shape, that workout goes on the calendar before you accept another coffee meeting. If you're launching a business, those strategy blocks come before anyone else's emergencies. It means color, coding, time, blocking, and saying no to everything that isn't aligned. You don't leave empty space for maybe I'll get to it. You assign every task to a block. You give every responsibility a home. And you keep those commitments like you'd keep a meeting with your most important client. Because when you disrespect your own calendar, you're teaching everyone else to do the same. It also means auditing your time constantly. Every Friday, look back at your week. Where did you stay focused? Where did you drift? What pulled your attention that didn't deserve it? This is not about judgment, it's about data, because success is a math equation when you really break it down. You're either investing your time in things that create the life you want, or you're not. But you don't know until you look, until you measure, until you track. Owning your calendar means protecting your time from other people's chaos. People will always try to give you their urgency, their priorities, their problems, but just because something is urgent for them doesn't mean it has to become your emergency. When you have a clear plan, a solid routine, and a schedule you trust, you can say, I'd love to help, but I'm booked, and you don't feel guilty. Because you know what you're working on matters, because you've already decided it's worth protecting. This also means creating buffers. You don't stack meetings back, to be back all day and expect to think clearly. You build space to breathe, to think, to regroup. You use that time to review, prep, plan, because hyper-formers don't just do things, they do the right things at the right time in the right way. That requires margin. And that only happens when you're intentional with how you set up your day. And here's something a lot of people miss. Owning your calendar doesn't mean being busy all the time. It means being intentional. It means creating blocks for deep work and recovery, for hustle and rest, for creation and connection. It means scheduling your downtime with the same intention you bring to your work, because burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign you're managing your time poorly. The goal is not to be available all the time. The goal is to be effective, and effectiveness starts with clarity. Clarity about what matters, what moves the needle, and what must be protected. So you train people to respect your time by first respecting it yourself. You stop apologizing for not being available 24/7. You stop saying yes to everything and everyone, and you start building a schedule that reflects the results you actually want. Because when you own your calendar, you own your results, you own your energy, you own your life, and that ownership, that's the real secret to success. Want the next habit broken down in this same tone and detail. Relentless personal development is not a hobby. It's not something you do when you feel like it or when life is going well. It's a non-negotiable commitment to yourself. It's the daily discipline of becoming better, sharper, more aware, and more equipped than you were yesterday. And it doesn't happen by accident. It's built by people who are obsessed with growth, not because they're not good enough, but because they know their potential demands it. You don't become world class by coasting. You become world class by choosing to grow when no one's watching, by reading books when everyone else is binge watching Netflix, by listening to podcasts in the car instead of zoning out to music, by signing up for coaching, mentorship, training, anything that expands your perspective. Because the version of you that's going to achieve your biggest goals doesn't exist yet. You have to build her day by day, rep by rep. Most people are addicted to comfort. They want to stay who they are, doing what they've always done, hoping for better results. That's not how it works. Growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It challenges your ego. It exposes your blind spots, and that's exactly why you have to lean into it. Because the moment you start protecting your comfort more than your future, you start losing. And you don't even realize it until the gap between where you are and where you want to be becomes painful. Relentless personal development is about responsibility. It's about deciding that no one else is going to save you. No one's going to hand you the perfect job, the perfect business, or the perfect mindset. You have to earn it, and you earn it through consistency, through discipline, through the boring stuff that no one claps for. Reading when it's not fun, taking notes when no one's watching, implementing feedback that stings. That's how growth works. You show up and then you show up again. You want to lead a team, grow yourself first. You want to make more money, upgrade your mindset. You want to stop second guessing yourself, build confidence through competence, read the book, take the course, show up to the seminar, do the uncomfortable thing. Because no one is coming to hand you confidence. No one is going to give you clarity. Those things come through action, through repetition, through learning from every failure and refining after every win. And here's the thing, personal development isn't a season, it's a lifestyle. It's not a chapter you go through when you're figuring things out. It's a foundation you never stop building. Every level of success demands a new version of you. So if you want to keep growing, you have to keep evolving. You don't get to say, I already know that. You say, where can I go deeper with this? Because repetition builds mastery, and mastery builds momentum. You have to fall in love with learning, not just the exciting parts, but the tedious ones too, the part where you're not seeing results yet, the part where it feels like nothing is changing, the part where you want to quit because growth is hard. That's the part where most people tap out, but not you. You're here because you know the long game matters. You know that every book you finish, every hour you invest, every uncomfortable conversation you have, that's your edge. And if you really want to amplify your development, stop doing it alone. Surround yourself with people who are better than you, people who challenge you, push you, make you feel a little intimidated, in a good way. Get in rooms where you're not the smartest person, hire the coach, ask for feedback, and when it hurts, say thank you, because that discomfort is a gift. It means you're growing. It means you're not stagnant. It means you're moving forward. Let's be clear, this is not about perfection. This is about progress. You're not always going to get it right. You're going to have seasons where you're tired, overwhelmed, distracted. That's normal, but relentless personal development doesn't mean never slipping. It means never settling. It means catching yourself faster, recommitting faster, getting back on track when life tries to pull you off it. Because you've decided who you want to become and you're not negotiating with that vision, if you're serious about growth, then make it visible. Create a personal development plan. Track your progress. Set learning goals the same way you set performance goals. What books are you reading this month? What skills are you working on? Who are you learning from? Growth can't be vague. It has to be intentional. Measurable, actionable, every single day, you're either getting better or falling behind. There is no neutral, and when you choose to develop yourself relentlessly, you're building a foundation that no one can take from you. The economy can crash, a client can leave, the business can pivot, but your skill set, your mindset, your resourcefulness, that's yours, that's power, that's leverage. So ask yourself, what did I do today to grow? What did I learn? What did I practice? What did I challenge? And if the answer is nothing, that's your starting point, not from shame, from clarity, because once you see the gap, you get to do something about it. And that action, that decision to move forward, is what separates high performers from the rest. Growth is a choice. Make it daily, make it yours, and don't stop. Clear and courageous communication isn't just a nice to have skill. It's the foundation of every strong relationship, every successful business, every high-performing team. If you want to lead, if you want to influence, if you want to build something meaningful, your ability to say exactly what you mean, directly and with confidence, is everything. And yet, it's the very thing most people avoid. Why? Because they're afraid of confrontation, afraid of judgment, afraid of being misunderstood. But the truth is, avoiding hard conversations costs you way more than having them. When you're not clear, people make assumptions. They fill in the gaps with their own stories, and usually those stories are wrong. You think you're being kind by softening your words, by sugarcoating the truth, by hinting instead of saying. But what you're actually doing is creating confusion. You're leaving people guessing, and that leads to frustration, resentment, and misalignment. Clear communication isn't rude, it's respectful. It honors people's time, their energy, and their growth. You have to get over the need to be liked all the time. That doesn't mean you're unkind. It means you're willing to say the uncomfortable thing because you care enough to tell the truth. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. Courage in communication isn't just about being direct with others. It's also about being honest with yourself. Are you holding back because it's easier to avoid conflict? Are you staying silent because you don't want to rock the boat? Are you telling yourself it's not that big of a deal when deep down you know it is? The most powerful communicators are the ones who are deeply aligned with their values. They know what matters to them and they use their voice to protect it. They don't wait until problems explode. They address things early with clarity and composure. They don't gossip. They don't manipulate. They don't dance around the issue hoping someone will magically figure it out. They speak up. They say what they need, and they invite others to do the same. This kind of communication requires emotional maturity. It means you don't take everything personally. You listen with the intention to understand, not just to respond. You ask questions instead of making assumptions. You clarify when you're unclear, and when someone gives you feedback, you don't immediately defend yourself. You pause, you consider, you decide what's useful, and you let the rest go. That's what keeps communication clean, productive, and honest. In high-performance environments, feedback is oxygen. If you're not giving it regularly, and you're not receiving it well, you're stunting growth. Period. But feedback doesn't have to be brutal to be useful. It just has to be clear. This isn't working, and here's why. I need more consistency from you in this area. I notice this pattern, and I think it's holding you back. That's not harsh, that's leadership. That's how you help people rise. You give them clarity. You set expectations. You eliminate the guessing game. And yes, sometimes people will be uncomfortable. Sometimes they'll get defensive. That's not a reason to avoid the conversation. That's a reason to lean in even more, because discomfort is part of growth. If your goal is to build a culture where people play big, you can't protect their feelings at the expense of their future. You've got to tell the truth in a way that calls them forward, not shuts them down. Clear and courageous communication also means knowing when to say no. No to the extra project that's not aligned. No to the team member who's not owning their role. No to the opportunity that looks shiny but distracts you from your mission. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your vision, you're betraying your clarity. And if you're not honest about your boundaries, No one else will be either. Here's the thing, communication isn't just words. It's tone, it's presence, it's timing, it's energy. People feel your intention more than they hear your language. So if you're saying the right words but your tone is condescending, if you're delivering feedback, but your energy is defensive, if you're having a conversation, but your mind is somewhere else, none of it lands. You have to show up clean, grounded, focused, ready to listen as much as you speak. And if communication is a skill, that means it can be trained. It means you don't get to say, I'm just not good at hard conversations. You get to practice. You get to prepare, you get to play before big moments, you get to ask for feedback on how you come across, you get to study people who do this well, because when you communicate clearly and courageously, you unlock trust. You create momentum, you accelerate results, whether it's with your team, your partner, your clients, or yourself. Say the thing. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you have all the right words. Just start. Speak your truth with clarity and let go of the need to control the reaction. Because the more you do it, the stronger you get, the more trust you build, the more aligned your relationships become. This isn't just about communication. This is about leadership. And leadership starts with you being brave enough to use your voice, not to tear people down, but to pull everyone, including yourself, to a higher standard. So don't hold back. Say it with clarity. Say it with love. Say it with courage. Having a metrics-driven mindset means you stop operating from feelings and start operating from facts. It means you don't rely on guesswork, assumptions, or hope. You rely on data. You measure what matters, you track performance, you analyze trends, and you use those insights to make smarter, faster, more confident decisions. Because here's the reality, you cannot improve what you don't measure. You can't scale what you don't track, and if you're not looking at the numbers, you're flying blind. Too many people run their lives and their businesses based on emotion. They say things like, I think it's going well, or it feels like we're making progress. But I think, and it feels like, are not strategies, they are opinions, and opinions are dangerous when they replace evidence, because feelings lie. You might feel busy, but that doesn't mean you're being productive. You might feel like your team is aligned, but that doesn't mean they're executing. The only way to know is through metrics, clean, consistent, visible metrics. A metrics-driven mindset is not about being robotic or obsessed with numbers. It's about accountability. It's about clarity. It's about removing the drama and replacing it with discipline. When you track the right metrics, you can diagnose problems before they become crises. You can double down on what's working. You can course correct in real time. And you can hold yourself and your team to a higher standard because you have the data to back it up. Let's talk about what this looks like in practice. First, you have to decide what matters. You don't need to track everything. You need to track the right things. If you're in sales, that might be calls made, deals closed, average deal size, and sales cycle length. If you're in operations, it might be turnaround times, error rates, and capacity. If you're building your personal brand, you're looking at engagement, conversion, and retention. The point is, your metrics must tie directly to your goals. They should reflect the levers that actually drive results. Once you've identified your key metrics, you need to track them consistently, not once a month, not when you remember, every single week. Create a scorecard, share it, review it, talk about it, live in it. Because visibility creates accountability. When people know the numbers are being tracked and reviewed, they start paying attention. They start taking ownership. They start improving, not because you're micromanaging, but because the expectations are clear. This is where leadership comes in. You cannot expect your team to take metrics seriously if you don't. If you're not looking at them, asking about them, and making decisions based on them, they won't either. You set the tone, you model the standard, and you make it clear that metrics are not optional. They are part of the culture. They are how we win. They are how we grow. They are how we know we're actually moving forward. And yes, sometimes the numbers will hurt. Sometimes they'll expose where you're underperforming, where you're not consistent, where you're off track. Good, that's the point. Metrics are not about making you feel good. They're about showing you the truth, and the faster you face the truth, the faster you can fix it. This is not about shame or blame. It's about ownership. It's about saying, this is where we are, and here's what we're going to do about it. Let's be honest, most people avoid metrics because they don't want to be confronted with the gap. It's easier to stay vague, to say I'm doing my best, but doing your best is not a performance standard. It's a story, the numbers tell the real story, and if you're willing to look at them, learn from them, and adjust based on them, you become dangerous, in the best way, because now you're not reacting. You're responding, you're not hoping, you're executing. This also applies to personal growth. You want to get better at something, track it. You want to build better habits, track them. You want to improve your mindset. Track the inputs that shape it, what you're reading, what you're watching, who you're listening to. Metrics aren't just for business, they are for life, and the people who win at life are the ones who treat their growth like a process, not a wish. Having a metrics-driven mindset also means building a rhythm around review. You're not just collecting data, you're reflecting on it. Weekly reviews, monthly check-ins, quarterly planning, you're looking at patterns. You're asking what's working, what's not, where are we trending, and then you make changes based on data, not drama. That's how real progress is made, not through hustle alone, but through precision. And don't forget, metrics also help you celebrate. When you track progress, you can see how far you've come. You can acknowledge wins. You can reward performance. You can create momentum. That's a powerful tool for morale and motivation. Because people want to know their work matters. They want to know they're making progress, and metrics give you the evidence to show them. So if you're serious about success, real, sustainable, measurable success, then make this shift. Move from reactive to proactive, from vague to specific, from emotion to data. Build a metrics-driven mindset, and you'll build clarity, control, and confidence in every area of your life. Extreme ownership over results means you take full, unapologetic responsibility for everything within your control, and even some things outside it. It means you stop blaming, you stop waiting, and you stop making excuses. You own it, all of it, the wins, the losses, the in-betweens, because when you truly commit to taking extreme ownership, you become unstoppable. You stop playing the victim and start playing the leader. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what can I do about it? Owning your results starts with one powerful mindset shift. Everything is your responsibility. That doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you accept that if something is not going the way you want it to, you have the power to change it. Maybe someone on your team dropped the ball, maybe a client backed out, maybe the market shifted. All of that can be true, and still you're the one responsible for how you respond, for how you lead, for how you adjust, pivot, and solve. This level of ownership doesn't always feel good. In fact, it often feels uncomfortable, frustrating, even overwhelming. But that discomfort is what separates average performers from exceptional leaders, because it's easy to take ownership when things are going well. It's easy to say, look what I did, when you hit your numbers, close the deal, or crush the presentation. But what about when you miss, when you fall short, when your plan fails? That's when true ownership kicks in. That's when you say, this didn't go the way I wanted, but I own it and I'm going to fix it. Most people want to outsource responsibility. They point fingers, they blame their boss, their coworkers, the timing, the process, the lack of resources. But the moment you do that, you give away your power, because if it's someone else's fault, then you're at their mercy. You're stuck, you're helpless, and that's the last place you want to be. Ownership gives you your power back, it puts you in motion, it makes you the cause, not the effect. You can always find someone else to blame. That's not hard, but if your default is to deflect instead of reflect, you'll never grow. You'll repeat the same patterns. You'll keep circling the same problems. Ownership means you ask the hard questions. What could I have done differently? What did I miss? Where did I drop the ball? Where was I unclear in communication? Where did I avoid confrontation? Where did I not follow through? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about being honest. Brutally honest, because growth doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from looking reality in the eye and saying, here's what happened, here's what I learned, here's what I'm going to do differently. That's how leaders think. That's how results improve, not by chance, by ownership. Extreme ownership also means raising your standards. You don't settle for good enough. You don't wait for someone else to hold you accountable. You hold yourself to a higher level because you know that every result you produce is a reflection of your clarity, your commitment, and your consistency. If something's not working, you don't tolerate it. You fix it fast, you take the initiative, you make the hard call. You do what needs to be done without waiting for permission. And yes, this applies to your team too. If someone on your team is underperforming, you don't throw them under the bus. You ask, where did I go wrong in leading them? Did I set clear expectations? Did I coach them effectively? Did I give them the tools and feedback they needed to succeed? If the answer is no, that's your work. And if the answer is yes, and they're still not executing, then your ownership means you take action, you have the hard conversation, you make the change, you don't tolerate mediocrity, you address it. When you live with extreme ownership, your entire energy shifts. You walk into the room differently, you lead differently, you no longer look around wondering who's going to fix it. You are the fix, you don't wait for motivation. You create momentum. You don't whine about what's not working. You design what will. You don't let your circumstances dictate your success. You take charge of them, and let's be clear, this isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. Every day, you choose to own your attitude, your energy, your decisions, your outcomes, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because the people who win are not the ones with the easiest path. They are the ones who take full responsibility for every step. It's not about being perfect. You will make mistakes, you will miss goals, you will drop the ball, but ownership means you get back up with clarity, not shame, with purpose, not pride, with the mindset that says, I'm responsible for this result, and I'm responsible for the next one too. So ask yourself, are you owning your outcomes or are you outsourcing them? Are you stepping up or are you backing off? Are you leading through example or are you waiting for someone else to go first? Every result in your life is either something you tolerate or something you transform. Ownership is the line between the two, and when you commit to that level of ownership every day, you become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about results. You deliver them.